Good morning and welcome to our Tuesday devotion on Wednesday. I apologize for yesterday, but I had a little bit of technical difficulty. And so today you get two for the price of one. And then we will come back to this passage again on Friday. What we are doing is we are examining chapters 2, 3, and 4 of John's Gospel so that we might get a better understanding of Jesus' identity, of Jesus' mission, of Jesus' ministry, and then ultimately what it means to us. And so we return today to John chapter 2, verses 1 through 11, to see the first sign that he did in revealing who he was and what he has come to do and what the outcome of that will be. And so I would like to read verses 2 through, or verse 1 through 11 of John chapter 2. Now, on the third day, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and Jesus' mother was there. Jesus was also invited to the wedding with the disciples. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no more wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were there 6 stone jars used for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. And he said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them to the brim. And he said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast." So they took it. And when the master of the feast tasted the water, now become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and when the people have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." This was the first of his signs that Jesus did in Galilee, manifesting his glory, and the disciples believed in him. Now, for our time today, I want us to look at 3 verses 4 through 6, because to our modern ear and to our modern sensibilities, these may sound very, very harsh. Jesus' mother is there, and the host has run out of wine. And it would be hard for us to underestimate just what a problem this would be. It is more than a social faux pas. Inviting people and then not having the needs necessary to meet the requirements of the people that you have invited would be an incredibly difficult social situation that would follow this family probably throughout their whole lives. In some cases, it may even nullify or annul the wedding itself. So it is a very serious situation that the refreshments, the things needed for the feast that the people have been invited to, not being there is a big deal. Now, when Jesus' mother comes to him and says they have no more wine, in the English, this sounds like it is a simple statement. But in reality, Jesus' mother is calling him to action. Now, does she know? Does she think that he's going to be able to turn the water into wine? I don't know. I personally believe that she knows her son. She knows the calming effect that he can have upon people. She knows the peace that he can provide in situations where peace doesn't even seem to be a possibility. She knows that her son can get up and talk and hopefully keep the retaliation that would fall on this family from falling. I personally believe that that's what he is, or Mary is calling Jesus to, but I don't know for sure because the Bible doesn't tell us. But we get some clue in Jesus's response to her. She calls him to action. They have no wine. And then Jesus responds, "Woman, what does this have to do with me?" Now, first, the word woman. To our eyes, this may seem disrespectful. It may seem that he is not honoring his mother. But in the original language, it would be better translated lady or madam. And what Jesus is doing here is he is revealing, he is denoting that there is a change that is taking place in the relationship between mother to son. Where he once took his direction from her, now is the time for her to take direction from him. Woman, what does this have to do with me? That second phrase, what does this have to do with me? Jesus, it is not the time for him to act openly. You even see that in the way that the miracle plays out. Jesus, to our eyes, does nothing. He asks the servants to draw the wine and then to take some, or to fill the pots with water, and then to take some of it to the master of the feast. And when it gets there, it's wine. You don't see Jesus walking on the water. You don't see him like at Lazarus' tomb calling out with a loud voice. You don't see him doing really anything. Obviously, we know that the conversion takes place by the power of Christ, but you don't see it. The time has not come for him to act openly. Because one of the things that has to be guarded against is for us to think that Jesus has arrived on the scene to take our directions and then to solve temporal, earthly problems. It was a difficulty that Jesus had to overcome in the whole tenor of his ministry, and it is something that we have to guard against and watch today. Oftentimes we think that Jesus should do what we think he should do, and when he doesn't, we will even get upset and oftentimes depart from the worship of him when he doesn't do what we think is the right thing to do. If you look at this situation, you see the fallacy of that type of thinking. I personally believe, and again, I can't prove this, but I personally believe Jesus's mother, Mary, wanted him to get up and to calm the crowd and to try to keep retaliation from coming against this young couple and their families. And yet Jesus goes far beyond what was expected and takes care of the problem in a much grander way, in a much more wonderful way than human mind could imagine. But secondly, Jesus hasn't come to deal with earthly difficulties. He didn't come as Jonas Salk to take care of physical maladies. He didn't come as a Warren Buffett to take care of financial difficulties. He didn't come as a governmental corruption exterminator even. Jesus did not come to take care of earthly, physical, temporal problems. He came to take care of the underlying problem, the problem behind all of those problems, the corruption of mankind itself, our heart, our thinking, our inabilities, our weaknesses. He has come to take care of the physical maladies, the physical corruption, the physical poverty. The spiritual maladies, the spiritual difficulties, the spiritual shortfalls, poverty that we all have. not the physical. His hour has not yet come to act openly. If he acts in this way, people will only come to him for physical healing or physical help or physical problem solving, when the truest problem, the problem behind all of those problems, is the nature of man, and that it needs to be transformed and redeemed and made new, that we might be new creatures. One of the greatest difficulties is understanding the relational change that needs to take place. We oftentimes think that God should do what we think rather than us taking our directions from him. We want to direct God rather than relying upon the one who can see all things, know all things, and know how they all work together and fit together for good. And Jesus at the very front is saying that a relational change has to take place for the problem to be taken care of. Woman, I am not taking my direction from you. You now need to take your direction from me. And to Mary's great credit, she gets it. Verse number 6. Verse number 5. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Mary gets it. And the question is, will we? Will we sit back and think that we are the directors of God and then grow cold toward him, distant toward him? Or will we abandon our own philosophies, our own solutions for his? Using, of course, the new mind, the new soul, the new spirit, the new directions that we have to live properly in this day and age. At the very front, though, Jesus had to take care of a problem. I am not here to end all earthly problems. I am here to take care of the underlying problem that causes them. I am a Savior. I have come to redeem the spirit of man that has long laid dormant and disconnected from God, to make it alive again, to bring us into communion with God, that we might properly live in this day and age. I pray that we would truly look at this first sign, that we would examine our hearts, and that we would avail ourselves to the solution that Jesus gives. I thank you for your time. I thank you for listening. And I pray all is well with you. And if not, please contact us at Wildwood Baptist Church in Englewood, Tennessee. You can call the church, or you can contact us through our website. But now I pray that the Lord's peace would be with you through this day, and that you would all remain healthy and with the peace of God fully active in your lives. Thank you.